maybe next week. Yes.
Yes. We good?
Hey.
All right, let's put some sliding behind you, Justin.
Yosuke, show me red. Yoshi red. Otagani red.
Go up. Jackson, slide back over your orders, bring it back up. All right. You come forward, see what, yeah, right there is good, Jackson. All right. Step out, left forward, stand left, right, hold on.
Hey.
Relax the shoulders, there we go. Going forward. Eight. Up. Feet. Go. Go. Feet. What there?
Hey.
Eight. Eight. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Feet. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
Alright. I forgot to ask you, James, it comes back at her, I'm not even asking, who came up with this? Every fish hates hooks, I like that. You might want to steal that. That to mean this, our order of movement, eyes, feet, hip, hands, right? Eyes go first, always. Then the feet, then the hip, then the hands. This becomes especially important when you turn. Unless you want to walk in blind into a fist. Trust me,
Yes.
that sucks. Look,
Hey.
first. Then the feet go, then the hip, and then the hand goes.
Yes.
Okay, line out a little bit there for me, Jackson. There we go, bend a little more. Front leg, there we go, good. Eight. Eight. Stop. Sheet. Go. Go. That, block, okay, good. Eight. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
Eight. Eight. Up. Feet. Go. Go. Feet. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
Come back. These questions would be more for him.
Yes.
If you want, but only if you want to.
Hey.
When we're making our rising block, speaking strictly about the arm, so from the shoulders to the hands, what moves first?
The hands.
The hands. Why?
Because hands are always doing the blocking.
Okay? Why?
Thought it was.
Well, he asked a good question.
I view it as the hands will bring the shoulders. If you move your shoulders first, it's almost like a wave. So your hand
Keep going.
is
You're
bringing your hand will create the movement your shoulder needs to do because of where your hand is going, not the other way around. I don't know if
No. Okay. Yes. There's one piece though that you're leaving out.
Is
What is that?
I don't know.
You don't know.
That's why I
Okay,
left
not
it.
too good. That's a good. I don't know. You need the shoulder to transmit the power to do that.
Is
So if I engage the shoulder first, I cut off
Is-
the power.
is
The hips generate the power. That's why all of this sets up the base for the engine to do the work.
is
Now, when we say hands slash feet slash whatever weapon, maybe that would be a better way of saying a weapon. Hands, feet, knife, whatever. So we set the base up to let the engine work to move the thing that's going to do the work. So if I'm going to do rising lines, that's what we're talking about. And I move the shoulder first, I have completely disconnected it from that train. We're literally pulling energy through the floor, through our legs, through our hip, through the shoulder girdle to do whatever we're doing.
Yes.
So we need this relaxed in order to get the hand to do just what Greg described, which is basically the hand driving is going to pull the shoulder, elbow into place.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes. So at that point, the shoulder then is fully engaged and locked. You're saying at that point, or not necessarily fully engaged and locked? Because when you do it, when you're doing it now, your shoulder is at this stage that you just said, but here though, right? It's at that level of
Yes.
engagement.
Yes, but it's only there for
And then
just as long as you need it, right?
as long as the attached point of where you were trying to reflect it, and then it backs off. You mean? What do you mean?
No, okay, no, I see what you're saying. We must continue the flow. So, okay, we're doing line drills. Okay, we're basically, the class is for you tonight, so he's just gonna follow along and sweat
Right.
through most of this. So, for a line drill, we step, and we block, and we hold until the next count. But that's not how life works.
Right. I was talking about how in life, if you were blocking something,
Right.
you'd engage it to the point where you connected, got it, and then it needs to relax back to go to something else, because if you stay engaged,
Yes.
you can't get to something else.
That's exactly the point I was gonna make. So I'm not gonna lock it and leave it there for any length of time. It does what I need it to do, and then I'm on to the
Yes.
next thing, and then I'm
Yes.
on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing.
Yes.
So, again, most of all that to say this. As we come through, I'm gonna tell you a funny story about my hip
Yes.
trip. Before we go.
Yes.
And I cross. You notice that coming off of my hikite, my loaded hand, I'm making this cross motion, this plus sign, however you want to look at it, because my hand is going first. Shoulder is still down. Hand goes first. And then it drives up.
Yes.
into place. Okay. Step out left forward, stand left, right, left.
Hey.
Just one more time. Straight wrist. There we go. Good. Hey. Good. But that wasn't really good. Hut. Shoulders. Yes. Back. Hey. John, who came up with this?
Levi,
Okay.
like that?
Tell him he gets to live for one more day. I like it, let's see it. Hey! Hey! Up! What there?
Hey.
Hey! Hey! Son! G! Go! Go! Z! What there?
Hey.
All good. Bring it down, middle outside block.
Hey.
Shoot on Soto. Did I say inside?
You did.
Okay.
I thought you
I might have. Thank you for doing what I said. That's not what I meant. Middle outside.
Hey.
My bad.
You can go back to the tape
You
and
can
see
go back.
later. Maybe you didn't.
No, I'll believe you. You both did. So today we'll go with majority rule.
Hey.
Maybe the front leg, because it wouldn't be the first time I did so. Going forward.
Hey.
There we go. Hey. Up. G. Go. Go. Z. What there?
Hey.
Eight. Eight. Up. G. Go. Go. Z. What there?
Hey.
Good. Young. I'm good. Go on. Describe to me how to do a middle outside block. Well, actually, describe to him, but describe to me how to do a middle outside block.
Just standing in the hands itself.
Quick description on how to do it.
The hand that's going to do the block is. But explain, teaching is a different animal, I tell you. So the hand that is going to do the middle outside block starts at the bottom and crosses to the middle of your body, while the one that is going to end up at Hikite starts at the top. So it starts as a basically this hand that's going to do the blocking starts at the elbow of the other hand with your, if you were to open your palm facing down. So palm facing down. And then now the hand that is going to end up at Hikite at your hip is coming down to the inside of the elbow of the hand that's going to block. As it raises, the hand that's going to block raises up. It stays with the hand was facing down to the ground. It stays that way as it comes across, so that technically you would end up hitting something or whatever you're doing, it would contact here, and then once it contacts, it would turn. So this hand is the one that's going to end up doing the blocking. It sets, they come to the middle of your body. It sets at the elbow of the hand that's going to end up at Hikite. They now exchange where the hand that's going to be Hikite goes to the inside of the elbow, while the hand that's blocking comes up. It connects with something and now does the rotation and pulls. And with it, you're engaging, and I feel it as when you're doing the turn, both hands are, I didn't mention, the hand that's doing the Hikite is also palm down and turning at the same time. So as it turns, it almost feels like something is pulling from a string here and pulling, so both of them engage and end up. That's the long-winded way. I'm sure it'll sound shorter.
You covered 99% of what I want you to cover. Talk about the end point. What's the end position?
The end point of the middle outside block should go past your body when you're blocking, because if not, technically you did not block. Now it shouldn't be out here where you're disengaging, because it should be anything you end with should still have the engagement of your trap. Your trap? Lat. Thank you.
Trap's the one on top.
There you go. Lat. Your lat. So you want to keep it where it's engaged still. There's not a lot of space. Maybe a fist amount of space, but it's ending out. It shouldn't be where you're here and you can't see your leg, for instance, if you were in a front stance, because technically you haven't blocked your whole self. Somebody could punch and still hit you. It should be clearing your body when you're done. So look at it as you're doing this, and I believe, for me, your body tells you that it's far enough, because when you do this and you get that engagement, I'm saying when you turn both and they do this, you only can do this so far. It'll feel weird to turn it anymore. So once you turn fully and you also feel the lat engaged, you know you've gone far enough. And you can look and see, I can see that my hand is to the outside of my leg, or the outside of my body, depending if I was standing up straight. Without that, it's to the outside of my body, so I know that if anything punched, it wouldn't have hit me. But if I'm here, it's possible that something could come around and hit me.
Okay, good. All right. Yes, everything you said, absolutely correct. I'm just going to put it in slightly fewer words.
Yes, please.
Fist even with the shoulder, elbow slightly past 90 degrees this way, one fist off the rib cage. So we'll say exactly what Greg was talking about. Lat is short for latissimus dorsi, in case you wanted to know that. It's the back muscle.
Yes.
FYI. Okay, so everything else, yes, thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to cover. Now, what I want you to take away from that right now is that end position and the twist he was talking about. But more importantly than that is this crossing motion that he was describing. You were kind of doing this windshield wiper thing here. You must cross the body for a couple of reasons. One, if you don't cross the body, you miss half of your body. And the other thing is, if you try to rotate, you see where my elbow is? If I try to rotate something this way, any of you could stop me from doing that. Here, now you got the big muscles involved. Now you can make a block. So it must, I'm doing no block. It must cross the body. Cool? Okay. Step out left 4 seconds, left middle outside block.
Hey.
Yeah, even right there, not too far. There we go. Hey. Hey. Bump. G. Go. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Hug. G. Go. Rope. See? What there? Oh,
Hey.
don't get too far down there. In your line of work, you run into this concept at all, the 4 stages of learning? Have you heard that before?
I mean, I've heard, but I can't remember what,
Unconscious, incompetent, conscious.
no,
you
I
ever
haven't
heard
done that, no.
All right, yeah, man, let me cover this for you right here real quick. This is why teaching is such a pain in the ass.
Is-
Yeah. The 4 stages of learning from a certain psychological point of view is unconscious, incompetent. This is how you start. You don't know what you're doing or what you're supposed to do, and you have no idea how to do it. You keep training yourself. This is whatever you're learning. You keep learning, and you become conscious incompetent. You know what you're supposed to do,
Can't do
you
it yet.
still can't do it.
Is-
And you keep learning, and you become conscious competent.
is-
You know what you're supposed to do, and you can do it, but you have to think about it.
is-
Then you keep learning, and you become unconscious competent.
Where you're
you
so
know what
good,
you're
it
doing,
just
you
happens
just do it,
naturally.
right? It's
It's
ingrained.
kind of like driving to work or something. I'm like, how did I get here?
How'd you get here? Exactly. Now, when you have to tell your daughter how to drive,
Is-
or you have to teach
You have
him
to
how
get
to
back
do it,
to-
you have to back up one step.
Is-
And this backing up.
which is why when you say
Right.
explain it, I'm thinking,
Explain it. Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, explain to me how you breathe.
Right.
It's literally like that
Is-
in the beginning. So
Yes.
you have to keep teaching and keep teaching
Yes.
and keep backing up and keep backing up
Yes.
to do that.
is-
All right.
like, is-
Left 4 stands, left middle outside bar.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Up. Feet. Oh. Oh. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Feet. Oh. Oh. Feet. What there?
Hey.
Good. Now block. Hey. Hey. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Seat. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Seat. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Seat. What there?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Seat. What there?
Hey.
Alright, you know what? Somebody was telling me you trained somewhere before?
Yes,
In what style?
the same time we're doing now.
Okay. Where at?
In Nashville, Florida.
In who?
Nashville, Florida. Nashville, Florida.
Niceville, Florida. What's that say?
Sorry?
What's that say?
I don't remember.
Don't remember, okay. So it's been a while?
Yeah.
Or you just don't remember? Okay, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like
We're all friends here.
Is-
No reason to be nervous.
is-
Except for, you know, him. He's kind of goofy, but that's all right.
I'm not nervous. I just kind of do this.
Okay, well, that's fine. Just slow it, because, okay, too many loud machines in my work career. If you go too fast, I can't hear you, I can't understand you. So just, if you could just kind of slow down a little bit, take a big breath.
Right, I'm pretty sure one of the senseis that worked there were one of the masters there.
Was who?
We're one of the like award-winning states,
Okay.
country around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Something like that.
Are you familiar with anyone in that area or not?
No, that's why I'm trying to dredge up names that would have been over in that area, and
Yes.
I'm drawing a blank, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. So, at some point in time, when they were talking about stances, they probably should have, or if you weren't there long enough, they might not have gotten around to it. What should you hear, what should everybody hear when you walk?
Nothing.
Nothing, right? At most.
I was gonna say, I hear a little sandpaper.
Right, yeah, again, at most, okay. Ideally, you hear nothing, okay? Literally. Even after his knees went, I still couldn't hear anymore.
Yes.
So, corollary to that, what is the purpose of working stands? Because we don't walk down the street in a front stance, cat stance. Well, I don't know how you want to look at it, we don't. What's the purpose of making you do a front stance, making you do a sheep dog, making you do cat stance, whatever? What's the purpose of stances in general?
To give them more power.
By doing what? You're right.
By putting forward momentum by turning your hips.
Okay? Say that in 2 words.
Oh, me
Yeah,
say
you
that?
can say that in 2 words. What he just said. You were listening.
I was listening, but to give your body more power in the sense, but I was more on a different gig of thinking what I think it is, so.
Well, before we get to that,
Yes.
say what he said in 2 words. I have no idea.
Maximize power.
Okay. Yeah, but again, I'm looking more for how. Okay, so before I answer my question, say what you were about to say.
I view stances as they teach you longer term to be able to be competent or be able to use your skills in particular movements, because if you were really just fighting and you back up, you're technically in a front stance, and now you've learned how to do that. If you're about to pull away, you're technically in a cat stance. If somebody's coming and I'm moving, I'm technically in a horse stance. So every movement is really continuous when you're doing something. Those stances are in there, you just don't see them because you're flowing differently.
Absolutely. So I'll say what both of you said in 2 words. Weight shifting.
Yes.
That's the bottom line, big principle.
I was just gonna say that, sir.
I know, you just tested me to see if I knew what I was talking
Yes.
about. That's fine. So stances is all about weight shifting, which does everything that you just said, because if I don't shift my weight properly, I can't do any of that stuff.
Yes.
And I end up falling down and looking goofy. So if when you're walking, you're hearing, or anybody's hearing, thud, 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 are you shifting your weight?
No, you're dropping it.
No, you're actually stopping yourself from falling. You're doing that kind of thing.
Yes.
So if you're hearing that, it's because you're letting your momentum take over and you're literally plunging down into it. One of the main reasons that Shikaru does this half move is to teach you that weight shifting line. Now it is possible, and Goju being one of the styles, they go straight forward. But they still do the hip, they still do the weight transfer correctly. It's just, it's not what Shikaru does, it's another way to skin the cat, as they say. I personally think it's a little more difficult to teach, but that's because probably I was brought up in Goju style.
I think this piece is important to me.
I do too, I like that center.
Because with any stance you're gonna do, you can do it from that position.
And maybe if we get like a black belt class one day, remind me, I'll go into the differences
Yes.
between the two. I don't want to lose it too far.
Yes.
So for Shikaru, we come to this center point, and then out. Eyes, feet, hips, hands. Right? So my eyes are already where they need to be. my feet go, now my hip starts to go. This is how we keep our weight transfer in a straight line.
Yes.
We also want our hips, and therefore our head, to be on an even plane. We don't want to get into this in karate for now. Eventually there will be a different way to look at that. But for now, we want it completely flat. And if your hips, you're lifting up and you're plunging down, lifting up and you're plunging down. That's not what we want.
Yes.
Okay? Okay, so smooth,
Hey.
keep together, still bent, still
Yes.
relaxed.
Hey.
And that also means that we don't want to straighten what will become our back leg. So if I'm doing this and out, that's not what I want. This leg bent. And this is probably the hardest part to realize in the beginning, is wherever you set your hip, that's where it has to stay, because it's a flat line. So if you get real ambitious and you set a really long, really low front stance, good luck. Hope you got the energy for that.
Yes.
Okay? So wherever you set that is wherever you need to be.
Yes. Yes.
All right, step out, left forward stance, left middle inside block.
Hey.
Yeah, you got it right this time. There we go. A little bit wider for me, Jackson. A little wider. There we go. Good. 8. 8. Good. Stop. G. There you go. Okay, no more compliments from you. Best job. Go. What there? Eyes first. Eyes first. 8. 8. Stop. G. Go. Rope. Feet. What there?
Hey.
8. 8. Stop. G. Go. Rope. Feet. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
8. 8. Stop. G. Go. Rope. Feet. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
Good. Rotate, double,
Right.
low hand, lead knee. Good. Get a little bit wider on the stance. 8. 8. Up. Sheep. Go. Rope. Seat. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
8. 8. Sun. Sheep. Go. Rope. Seat. Touch. Good. What there?
Hey.
Good. Yeah, man. What are the first 2 key points in doing a double block?
First key point is bringing your
Elbows together.
Elbows together.
Absolutely. What's the second one? You're right there. You're about to do it.
you're sliding.
There you go.
Across.
What's sliding? No. What's sliding? What's where when it's doing that? The hand going up is somewhere, and the hand going down is somewhere in relation to each other. You're doing it.
I'm doing it. I don't know what it is you're asking though, which
I know.
means I
Yeah,
guess
you
this is
do.
unconscious consciousness.
Right. And when I tell you, you're going to irritate you.
It's sliding across. One is sliding down, and one is sliding up.
Right? But in relation to each other, in 3-dimensional space, where are they? One is closer to you and one's closer to me. Which is it?
The one that's going down is closer to me.
To you, right. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. So, what you need to pick up from this and what you need to begin doing. As we set our stance, elbows together, blocking. As I make the block, how you want to describe it. The hand that goes up is on the outside, closest to your opponent. The hand that's going down is on the inside, closer to you as I block. Feet come together, stance, elbows together, the hand going up, outside, in, always.
Yes.
Always, always, always. Down block and double block. How I like to describe the prep is that at the beginning, they both have something in common, and it's that, oh crud, somebody's punching at me. Right?
Yes.
If all else fails, you cover it up. So if I'm doing a down block, somebody punches, oh, whatever, I'm covered up. Boom, down block comes.
Yes.
Same thing, double block, punch comes, oh, boom, covered, double block.
Yes.
Do not leave this part out of either one of them.
Yes.
Now, I'm kind of over-exaggerating slightly, but when that punch comes, trust me, you get behind those hands. Key points though, again, elbows together, literally touch them together. Hand going up, closest to your opponent, hand going down, closest to you.
I've got a question about
Yes, absolutely.
So when you put it out, it's supposed to go beyond the body or towards the shoulder.
You're talking about the prep here?
The finish.
The finish.
The finish ends up even with the outside of your body going out. You're showing me middle inside block,
Yeah.
that's where I'm
That's
confused.
what I meant.
Okay, so we're backing up to middle inside block is your question?
Yes.
Oh, okay, no problem. I wasn't understanding your question. Yes, middle inside block, crosses the body, fist in line with the opposite shoulder. Basically, we take our middle outside block position, fist and shoulder in line, one fist off the ribs, a little past 90, and again, ignore how I'm getting there. But the end point is basically I just moved it over, it's in line with the opposite shoulder, still about one fist off my body, still slightly past 90. It's just now in line with the opposite shoulder and twisted because of that rotation.
Yes.
Okay. So my left force says, double block, low hand, lead knee. Hey. Back to shoulder. Hey. Much better. Hey. Remember, hand going up, always on the outside. Up. G. On this side, still outside. Hey. Very good. Now, when you come forward, that right hand needs to stay on the outside as it goes up. Hey. There. Bring that left hand down, middle, or turn it down. There we go. Hey. Good. Turning. What there?
Hey.
Good. Hey. Hey. Up. G. Go. Rope. Beat. Punch. Good. What there?
That was me. Can I have some? Don't forget, don't be afraid to, like he said, Russ, the rule isn't, hey, he said it, so go fast. You can take your time and say, you know what, let me try to do these eyes, feet, hips. Let me go slowly. We're gonna wait, because if he says, hey, and I do this, he's not gonna say, hey, he's gonna wait for me to finish, because he's going on the time after we finish. So don't be afraid if I'm going fast or someone else. If you need to go slower, and to me, when you're learning it, I think a lot of times we make a mistake thinking, oh, we need to learn it and go quickly. Take your time and do it. It's no different than anything else. If you take your time and do it and think about it, then eventually you'll be able to go faster. Just a thought. Yes.
I'm glad I was able to project that into your brain, because that's literally what I was just getting ready to talk about.
I'm scared that I'm starting to think like you. What are you doing to me?
My voodoo doll I keep in the house. The one thing that he left out that I was going to put in there, start paying attention to this. Start working on it.
Yes.
Now, to add on to what he was saying, if I want you to go faster or harder, I'll tell you. It won't be for a while. You don't haven't had these long enough. enough for me to do that. Him, I'll yell at to go harder or faster.
Yes.
He said, "Been here long." But now you're doing exactly what I want you to do.
Yes.
That's good. Okay?
Right?
So yes, in the beginning, 1 potato, 2 potato, 1 potato, 2 potato. Right? Take your time. Going back to this, right? If you learn bad habits, this is why it's hard to break a bad habit, because you gotta back up and rewrite it.
Yes.
You know, it's not like computer code. You can't hit delete and rewrite it and it automatically runs. You overwrite it, overwrite it, overwrite it.
Yes.
Learn it right the first time. Slowly, methodically. Everything that, you probably haven't had this talk yet. Everything that is taught in this dojo is taught the way it is for a reason. We didn't make this stuff up. This came from these guys, who got it from guys who blood, sweat, and tears made this.
Yes.
So when we talk about, okay, this prep motion is here, this shoulder is here for a reason, it's there for a reason. It's not, okay, because it looks cool. No, it's there because if you don't do it correctly, one day when you need it, right between the eyes,
Yes.
that's never going to be good. Cool?
Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's all. All right, step out of left forward stance, left vertical fist. Eight. 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 Look. Deep. Go. Go. Deep. Touch. Two. Much better on the stances. I'm not hearing you as much. That's good. What there?
Right?
Eight. Eight. Son. Sheep. Go. Rope. Seat. Touch. Two. What there?
Right?
Good. Eyes, feet, hip, hands. Here we go. Eight. Eight. Son. Sheep. Go. Rope. Seat. Touch. Two. What there?
Right?
Good. Eight. Eight. Up. Sheep. Go. Rope. Seat. Touch. Two. What there?
Right?
Kind of go back to what, you know, stay right where you're. Kind of go back to what Greg was saying with the doing it slowly. Especially punches in line drills, this always shows up. I turn, and because I'm turning, I end up doing this and going out because I'm trying to get ahead of myself. Stay in the stance. Eyes, feet, hip, hand. Excuse me, we're doing vertical. Hand. Move.
Was that the only thing, sir? Was that
I'm
the
not sure I
only,
understand your question.
like, you have any other criticisms?
It's not a criticism.
I think he's asking, was there anything else you noticed?
Okay. The answer is yes. There are many things, right? There are many things that you're not doing that need work. There are many things he's doing that need work. There are many things that I do that need work.
Right.
So there's always going to be something to work on.
Yes.
Now, am I going to tell anybody, every minute detail of what they need to know all at once? No, it's overload.
Yes.
We tweak things a little bit. Tonight for you, the important thing is this. If you walk out of here tonight with nothing more than this, Sensei's happy camper. Yeah? Because there's always Wednesday, and then there's always next week. And then there's 30 years from now, still working on stuff. Okay? Stay where you are. Good. Spend 4 days with him. You know how many things he told me I was doing wrong? How many things he tweaked after
You can't count
30
them,
years?
sir. You can't count them, sir.
Okay? And he was right. You know, it's like, oh man, okay, yeah, you're right. I've been getting lazy on that.
Yes.
So, everybody's got something they can work on.
Just,
All right, yeah, man.
again, with it, even the turning, as Kyoshi was, don't forget that pulling. Look at it as whatever hand is out that you're gonna exchange, it's pulling. And it helps, that's how it helped me when I was taught that it pulls, even when you're turning, I look at it as I'm turning, and this hand is pulling this one out. That will make me not turn and do something like this, because I'm looking as no, this hand hasn't pulled it yet, and then I pull.
Boom. All right. Left forward stance, left turnover punch.
Right?
There you go. Right stance. Eight. Eight. Up. Keep. Go. Eight. Eight. What there?
Alright?
Eight. Eight. Up. Keep. Go. Go. See. What there?
Alright?
Good. Eight. Eight. Up. Keep. Go. Go. See. What there?
Alright?
Eight. Eight. Up. Keep. Go. Go. See. What there?
Alright?
Good. Back fist. Eight. Eight. Other hand. Up. Feet. Go. Go. Feet. What there?
Alright?
Eight. Eight. Up. Feet. Go. Go. Feet. What there?
Alright?
Alright, yeah, man. Alright, we're gonna spend the last minutes of class detailing back fist. Just as an FYI, probably because you don't know this. This is Hachi Richard Keller. He is my instructor, Sean James' instructor. He's currently living in Arkansas.
Yes.
He is still alive. These guys are all past ancestors. One of his favorite techniques, and from my experience, arguably his favorite technique, was back fist. So you're not going to be in this dojo throwing a sloppy back fist.
Yes.
Not going to be it. Now, that was meant mostly as humor than anything else. Back fist is not middle inside block. You were turning it into a middle inside block hammer fist. That is a technique. It's a good technique, strong technique, but it's not back fist.
Yes.
We're going to talk about back fist for a minute. Back fist in its basic format can be done two ways. I don't care which way you choose, as long as you pick one of these two.
Yes.
Later, back fist becomes different angles, so you can do some different things with it. But line drill wise, there are two different ways to do it. And Sean James and myself, we prefer different ones
Yes.
of these two. So I'll tell you mine, then I'll tell you his, and I'll let Greg tell you which one he picks, because now I think he's...
I think I do a little bit of both, you told me, where I kind of...
Right, vary it. And that's a good idea too. Play with both of them until you figure it out. So, for the first one, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our fist up and we're going to put it right between our eyes. So basically, these two knuckles are right between the bridge of our nose. And we're kind of looking at the fist. The way that I prefer, I'm going to prep it, this hand, kind of like I'm doing a middle inside block. It's going to come down. My loaded hand comes to the top of my head. Literally, my thumb knuckle touches the crown of my head. Palm is pointing at my target. I point the elbow to my target, and I unhinge it so it's out and down on top of the bridge of their nose. So I prep, come to the top of my head, point the elbow, and down. Prep the hand, top of the head, point the elbow, and down.
And that pulling motion is still there with the hands.
Pulling motion is still there with the hands,
Yes.
absolutely. You okay?
Yeah, yes.
You hit something?
I'm trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay. The way you were looking at it, I was expecting to see blood, that's why I was just curious. You're good. Now, the other way ends about the same place. So we're gonna start with these two knuckles at the bridge of our nose. The way that Sean James prefers, you're still gonna prep this hand the same way. This hand is gonna come up next to your ear, almost like you're punching yourself in the ear. You're gonna point the elbow the exact same way, but it unhinges more linear straight out into the same target. Prep this hand, come to the ear, point the elbow straight out. Prep the hand, come to the ear, point the elbow, and straight out. Cool? Alright, yeah, man. So really, the only difference is where we start and the angle of impact. From here, the angle of impact is 45 degrees down through them. From here, the angle of impact is straight through them. So this is literally the only difference, is how you're impacting the body. Everything else is exactly the same.
Yes.
Cool?
Hey.
Alright, so take a left front stance, left back fist.
Alright.
There you go. Good. Now again, play with both of them, but pick one of them, or alternate between the two until you settle on it. But those are your only two choices for now. 8. 8. Up. More. Yes, but I want more coming toward me at the end. There we go. Up. G. Go. Go. Like that.
Alright.
8. 8. Up. G. Go. Rope. Z. Like that.
Alright.
Again, not a cross. A cross is middle inside block. Out or out and down. Those are our two. 8. 8. Up. Yeah, much better. G. Go. Go. Z. Like that.
Alright.
8. 8. Up. G. Go. Go. Z. Like that.
Alright.
Good. Make it an uppercut. Going forward. 8. 8. Up. G. Go. Rope. Z. Like that.
Alright.
8. 8. Up. G. Go. Rope. Z. Like that.
Alright.
Good. Stay right where you are. I got some listen to this part from there. Okay. For us, in its beginning fashion, there is a difference between our uppercut and a boxing uppercut. A boxing uppercut goes straight up. Now, eventually we will use that, but for our basic format, our basic line drills, that's not what we're doing. We're not going straight up. We're thinking about our point of impact being literally right here. We're actually making contact in a horizontal position. We're driving up at a 45-degree angle, and then letting it settle.
Yes.
So we come forward, we're out and back down. And back down.
Yes.
Back down.
Right.
So, not out and leave it, or up. Out, and a little bit of a settle to it. And a little, yes. We'll make it one motion. That, good. Alright, switch hands for me, and then that front leg, coming forward. 8. 8. Son. G. A little settle. Go. Go. Z. Good, much better. Like that.
Alright.
8. 8. Son. G. Roll. Roll. Feet. Right there.
Right?
Good. All right, Jackson, I like what you're doing with this. Keep it up. All right, turn that into a flail punch. Pull this.
How do you do that? How do you do that again?
Make the uppercut. And just rotate it up to about your temple level. There you go. Look. Remember, this one, you're gonna drop behind the hip and around. That one. Good. All right, step back for me. Switch feet so you can. Good. Widen the stance out a little bit. All right, coming forward.
Hey!
Eight. Eight. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Feet. Right there.
Right?
Feet. Feet. Up. Feet. Go. Rope. Feet. Right there.
Right?
Alright, young man, let's talk about flail punch for the last couple of minutes here.
Yes?
I'm just rolling these up so you guys can see my elbows. The end point, these two knuckles are basically thinking about striking somebody who's your height, your size, in the temple. So I want to fit these two knuckles even with my temple. My
Yes.
arm, meaning my elbow, is not straight. If you'll notice, everybody, every human being, to whatever, one degree or another, when their arms hang straight, there's a slight curve to them.
Yes?
Nobody has perfectly straight arms. There is always a slight curve at the elbow.
Right?
We want to preserve this curve. We don't want to make it more than your normal, and we don't want to make it less than your normal.
Yes?
So whatever this is your normal elbow curve at our end point. So starting from here, when we go to make the step, my hikite hand, my loaded hand, is going to drop behind my butt cheek. Then literally, like I've got a piece of rope between the two hands, as Greg was saying. As this one pulls, this one comes behind it. So I'm coming, after I drop here, I'm coming this way. I drop behind the hip for the next one. I come out and around. In the beginning, almost like I'm trying to go around a pole. Now don't make it crazy. I'm not talking about a full circle. But it is a slight circle, like I'm going literally around something that's in front of me. From here, I drop down. As this hand pulls, this one rolls. This way. So that when I'm stepping, I step, drop behind, throw. Step, drop behind, throw. And I'm striking this way.
Yes?
Just into whatever it is I'm striking. Move. This one.
And everything we do, you should know where you're striking because it's wherever your two knuckles are. So that means if you're like this, you probably are going like this. Or if you're like this, it means you're going out. So wherever those knuckles are is where, in the drill of this, or am I incorrect?
No,
because I use that as a guide of, okay, for instance, if I didn't see you and I saw you here, I know that you were punching here. Now, if I saw you out a lot, I might think, okay, maybe he did this, but the point is he was using those knuckles. What were you gonna?
Well, you kind of touched on the exact thing that was kind of tickling the back of my brain as to whether or not I had a very minor disagreement with what you were saying. 99.9 of everything you just said, I completely agree with.
Is
Where you're kind of losing me is that last little bit that you were talking about. If I see somebody in this position, and this is the only data I have, it could be this way or this way. It's an unknown at that point. Here, yeah, you can pretty much guarantee where he went, but at a certain point, the exactness of your statement.
yeah, I guess even here you could have done this, but I mean,
But more than likely a downward rather than upward. But yeah, like I said, the majority of what you said I agree with.
it's not absolute.
It's not absolute.
Is
That's a short and good two-word
is
explanation. Absolutely. All right, we got about 2 minutes. All right, step out, left forward stance, left leg march.
Hey, hey,
Good feet. Eight. Yes, good. Eight. Son. Sheep. Go. Go. Feet. What there?
hey,
Eight. Eight. Son. Sheep. Go. Go. Feet. Hey. Good. What there? Alright, we gotta go out
Hey.
and win here, Jackson. Alright, eyes, feet, hip, hand. You're doing just what Greg mentioned earlier. Get too fast, getting ahead of yourself, and turning this into a jigsaw puzzle. Alright? So, we're gonna go out on a win. So, eyes, feet, hip, hands don't move until all of this is done. Right? Hey! That's what I'm talking about. Now, finish your step first. Knee. Finish the step. Back. Up. Sheep. Go. Rope. Feet. What there?
hey,
Eight. Eight. Stop. Sheep. Go. Rope. Feet. What there?
hey.
And one more. Good. Young man. Alright, excellent. We consider that going out on a win. I like
Yes.
that. Just questions, anything we've done tonight? Neither one of you.
It's nothing about what we're doing tonight, but it's what I was examining earlier. So you know when you touch your wrist and you can see the tendons over your knuckles.
Okay.
Well, the tendon on the right hand is over the knuckle, and it feels uncomfortable. And it's not doing that on the left hand. So I'm wondering if I should if I should see something about that.
I don't know the answer to the question that you just asked. That's gonna be a question for your parents as to whether or not they wanna take you to a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
Okay, now, if you can show me exactly what you're talking about, just look right there, fine, I'll come to you. No, you're fine, just wanna come to you.
It's right here, and once you
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it. And it doesn't do it on that one, yeah, I see it now.
It's 210s, you're saying?
No, it's a, no, you're fine. It's his body design, I think. You need to discuss that with your parents. And, cause again, I don't necessarily know, there's nothing that you can physically do to change that.
Right.
That's just where that tendon lies on your hand.
Right.
If it's causing you irritation, that's a question for a doctor.
Okay.
If it feels like it's cutting when it clicks over like that, that's a definite problem we need to talk to a doctor about.
Okay.
Yeah. But as far as, are you doing anything wrong making a fist? No. Is there anything you can do to change how you make a fist to prevent that? Nope.
Okay.
So it's either well, that sucks, live with it. We've all got various and sundry of those. Or it's talk to your parents about it, ask a doctor about it.
Okay.
Any other questions? We good? All right, we're just gonna close out and inform them.
Yes.
I got those. What the next? Go home.
Okay.
Go home.
Yes. You said you had something.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick this off. You get a kick out of this.